Hello everyone, in today's project we're going to be building this website. So it's going to be animated and then it has a background video playing. Okay, and we have nice gradient animations as well. We can scroll down and then we have a top seller section with some nice cards and have animation. And then we have a blog section with a nice have animation as well. Okay, and then we have this upcoming items with animated gradients. Okay, so these cards are also responsive. We're using a grid to make them responsive. And then we have the view more button. It doesn't do anything because we didn't implement the click events. And then yeah, we have the demonstration section, then we have the contact section, and then we have a footer, a simple footer. Okay, and we have a nice scroll bar as well, a nice custom scroll bar. Okay, yeah, I'll see you in the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, please, because most of the people watching my videos are not subscribed. So everyone is just watching and not subscribing. Please do subscribe and comment. I'll see you in the video. Okay, so I've already done the cleanup. I have a few files that we're going to be using. So this is just the dummy data that we're going to be using for this one. You can replace this data with your own data if you want to. Okay, we have the blogs data, and then we have the data. And then I have an image folder. Here are the images that we're going to be using, and the components folder, which is empty. I just created the folder to save you some time. Okay, so before we do anything, you need to install Styled Components. Go to the terminal. I'm going to close this project and then run this command npm install Styled Components. I've done that already. I don't want to waste your time. So once you've done that, just hit npm start to start the project. So the project is going to be blank. As you can see, there's nothing. So let's start by creating a global style. So in the source folder, create a new file. So this one is going to be global style.css. So it's not a CSS, it's a JavaScript file because we're going to be using style components for styling. So it's going to be global style.js. Okay, like that. So in the global style, we're going to import create global from style components. Create global like this from style components. Alright, so we're going to create a variable const global style, and then we're going to use create global to create a global style. So in here we can put our CSS. Before we do that, we're going to export this as default global style. Alright, so in here we're just going to do basic page resetting, margin to 0, also padding to 0, padding 0, and then list style to none, box sizing to border box. And then for the body, I'm just going to give it a temporary background color for now. So the background color is going to be red, just to see if our styles are working. And then go to the index.js. Above the app, in here we're just going to import the global style. So don't forget to import it up here as well. Okay, so after that, just save everything. Hopefully when I refresh, it should be red. As you can see, our style components is working. Let me just double check if I'm recording. Okay, yeah, the recording is working. Okay, so now our background is red, so that means everything is working. So what you need to do now is go to Google Fonts. You need to download the font. So the one that I'm using for this project is called I think it's Montserrat. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it, so get this font. I've already done that. I'm just going to paste in some links. Okay, so to get it, just do this and then copy this and go to the public, and then you paste it in the public, and then you just need to copy the font family now, and then you put in the body. So here, just put the font family. Okay, so that means everything is now in place. Let's start using the actual color that we're going to be using for the body. I'm just going to change it. I'm just going to paste in the color. So this is the color that we're going to be using. And then the font size, it's going to be 1.2 rem. And then for the font weight, by default I'm going to be using 400 font weight. Okay, so yeah, that's it for the body. In the components, I'm going to create a new component. So this one is going to be called main area.js, and then I'm just going to export default main area. Okay, and then I'm going to create a style here, const main area styled. You can name this whatever you want, so I'm just going to name it main area styled, and then styled is going to be a div. Okay, so copy the main area styled and replace this div, because we want to style the content in here using this styled. Okay, so for the main area, the main area is going to contain our video, our background video, okay, and the image that we're going to be using as well. So for the main area, I'm just going to say video. So for the source of the video, I'm just going to say I don't know, business video or something, business, and then I'm just going to import business from .img. So the video is inside the images. So the video, I think it's called marketing, actually, yeah, marketing.mp4. okay, so yeah, when I save, hopefully we should have a video. Actually, we're not using this component yet, so you're not going to see anything. Go to the app, and then in the app we're going to say main area. We're going to run that component. Make sure you import that. So main area, it's not importing the component. We can say import main area from dot I think I need to restart this project because my plugins are not working. Sometimes you just need to restart and then they work properly. I don't know why sometimes it happens, but I'm just going to restart this. Okay, and then I'm just gonna restart. Alright, so now there it is. I've restarted, so my plugins can work properly. Sometimes it's just weird. So okay, so in here I wanted to import the main area. Was it main area? Yeah, it's not importing again. Main area. You know what, I'm just gonna do this manually. Import main area from components main area, and then we're just going to put it here, main area. We need to rerun this because I've restarted the project. So hopefully we should have a video. We do have a video, but it's not playing, and it's too big as well, so we need to start the video. So in here we're just going to put some props. It's going to be muted, the video, there's not going to be sound, and then we're going to play in line, and then we're just going to do autoplay. So when we start the website, we just want the video to start playing, and then it's going to loop. Okay, so yeah, there is still nothing yet. Actually, yeah, there it is. You just need to refresh. Okay, so we need to start this video. It looks ugly at the moment. So down here, I'm just going to say width 100%, and then height. So the height is going to be somewhere 85 VH. Okay, so after the height, position is going to be relative, and then overflow to hidden. Okay, so we don't want the scroll bar in the horizontal, not, yeah, on the, actually horizontal, yeah, we don't want the scroll bar. Okay, so now we have video. We just need to add something else after the video as well. We need an overlay. Okay, so I'm just going to say img.overlay. Okay, so in here I'm just going to say circles. Okay, so make sure you import the circles, so they're coming here. Circles dot, I think they're PNG, in PNG format. No? Okay, so let me double check what I've named them. SVG. Okay, so now it should be somewhere, the overlay should be somewhere. Okay, so after here I'm just going to say overlay circles with the class of overlay, so that's why I'm targeting the circles. So here I'm just going to say width 100% the image, and then for the height it's going to be 100% as well, and then position absolute, I want to position this wherever I want, and then for the right, on the right side I want it to be minus 400 pixels on the right side, minus 400 pixels, and then top I want it to be somewhere around minus 300 pixels top. Okay, so there it is. So there's our nice circle. You can, you know, play around with these values to see whatever you want, but for now I'm just going to go straight forward. I don't waste any of your time. Okay, so after the overlay I'm going to style the video element. So the width is going to be 100, and then for the height it's going to be 100 as well, and then object fit, we want it to cover the main container, and we don't want to stretch. Okay, so and then the opacity, I'm just going to reduce the opacity to 0.7. So we don't need to be too bright. Okay, so now the opacity is looking nice. Okay, so I'm just going to create a new file in the source. So this one is going to be layouts. So this can be like reusable layouts that we can use. So we can reuse this across the website if we want to. So in here I'm just going to import styled. Okay, so make sure you import style like this, and then we're just going to say const. So we have the inner layout, which is goes to styled. It's going to be a div to a div. Okay, something like this. So for the inner layout, it's going to have a padding. So the padding top and bottom is going to be 4 RAM, and then left and right is going to be 15 RAM. Okay, so after the actually make sure this is capital letter I. Okay, so after that we have const section styled, which is goes to styled. This one is going to be a section, so styled section. So for this section it's going to have a padding, top and bottom is going to be 4 RAM, and then left and right is going to be 0. Okay, so we just need to export. What are we exporting? We're exporting the inner layout, and then we're exporting the section styled. So these are the layouts that we're going to be using at the moment, and then I'm going to close this. Okay, so after the overlay in here, I'm just going to say inner layout, like this. I'm pretty sure that's how I named it. So we just want to say import inner layout from, so dot please, just one slash, yeah, it's layouts. Okay, So we have the inner layout. Okay, so now I'm just going to create a new component. So the new component in here is going to be called main content.js. Main content, yep. So we're just going to export the component. Okay, so we want to render this in here. So in here is also main content. So make sure to import the main content up here. We're going to render this inside the inner layout. Okay, so now we have main content. So now let's do the initial styling for the main content. Const is equals to styled. Make sure you import styled as well. So the style is going to be div. Okay, for now. Just copy this and then replace with the main content styled. Alright. So now we want a navigation. Okay. We want a navigation here. I think it's better if I run a finished project for you to see. I'm just running a finished project for you to see. Okay, so this is a finished project. So we want the navigation here. So to make it easier, we can create another component for the navigation. So here I'm just going to say navigation.js function component export. Okay, so now we've created a navigation component. Copy this, const navigation styled. Oops. Is equals to styled. Make sure import styled. And then so this one is going to be a nav. It's a navigation. Copy this and replace this div. Okay, so now we have the navigation. So in here we have the logo img. So the source is going to be logo. We just need to import the logo from the images folder. Okay, so here's our logo. So we have the source, and then here we have ul.nav items. Okay, so just create an li. Okay, I'll just copy this. So just do li a, and then just to put a hash, and then this one is going to be home. Okay, so just create these links. So we have home, about, FAQs, activity. Okay, so below this li, we're going to do another class. You can use a link, or you can do a div, but for this is a demonstration purposes. So I'm going to be using a div. So this one is going to be called primary btn. Okay, so this one is going to be get connected. So this is this button here. You can use it as a link, but it's just a div. I'm just showing you how to do the whole thing. So if you wanted to go somewhere or to do something, you can use it as a link or something. Okay, so now we have a primary button, and then yeah, that's it. We just need to style the navigation. So it's quite simple to start this. So the mean height is going to be 10 vh, and then we're going to do display. Actually, not on the display. We're going to do display flex, and then justify content to space between. So we want it to be spaced out, and then we're going to align items to center. Alright, so in here I'm going to target the nav items, which is inside the navigation. So nav items. Okay, so this do this. Yep, so nav items. So for the nav items, we're going to do display flex as well. Display flex, then align items to center. Alright, so now I'm just going to inside the nav items, I'm going to target the li. So for the li, I'm going to have a margin 0 top and bottom, and then 1 rem left and right. After that, I'm just going to target the primary btn, yep, like so. Okay, so for the primary btn, margin left, it's going to be 3 rem. So we have a margin left, and then we're going to do a background color. Actually, I think it's better I'll just paste in a background color here. So this is the background color, so it's RGBA, so that means we want to control the opacity, which is 0.6 at the moment. And then we're going to do padding. Top and bottom is going to be 0.6 rem, and then left and right is going to be 1.3 rem. It's 0.6. Okay, so padding, and then we have border radius. It's going to be something like 70 pixels. And then we're going to do cursor of pointer. Okay, so after the cursor, we want a transition, because we're going to animate it very soon. So 0.4 seconds is in and is out. Okay, so when I hover the background on hover, we want something to happen. So when we hover, we want to increase this opacity to 1. Okay, so that's why we use the RGBA, red, green, blue, and alpha. Alright, so now after the nav items, let's just do the logo. Okay, so for the logo, it's simple, just targeting the image element, and then the width is going to be 60 pixels. Okay, yeah, I think that's it for the navigation. We just need to include the navigation inside the main content. So up here, I'm just going to say navigation, navigation. So make sure you import it up here. So yeah, let's go to the app, refresh. It seems like our navigation is not showing. Navigation. Okay, so I think we just need to do a bit of styling before we can see the navigation first. So the main content, I'm just going to main content. Okay, so yeah, so the parent of the main content, this one, main area, so the position is set to relative. But this main content, we want to set the position to absolute. We want to move it around. Okay, so top is going to be 0, and then left 50%, width 80%, height 100%. Alright, so now when I refresh, there is our menu, but we want to center this. We want to make sure that it's on the center screen. So for example, when I say background color, when I set it to red, as you can see, it's not centered. I want it to be at the center. So to do that, we're just going to use a transform property, transform and translate on the x-axis. So we're going to do -50% to center it. So now it's nicely centered. Okay, I'm going to remove the background. Alright, so now the background is gone. There it is. So now let's just go to the global. So for the global style, I'm just going to style the anchor tag, all of the A tags. I want the color to inherit, and then font family, inherit, and then let's do the paragraphs just in case. So the line height for the paragraph is going to be 2 rem. Okay, yeah, so I'll save this. Actually, we need to put the color in the body, so the color is going to be white, the default color. So now it's white, so it's underlined. So I want all of the anchor tags actually to have list style to not list style, text decoration to none. You can actually do the text decoration in here as well, so it doesn't show the underlinings. Okay, so now we have our anchor tags. Going to have the button, it's nicely changing. Oh, it's missing a padding. Okay, so let's go to the navigation. Which button are we looking for? Primary button, margin, padding, left and right. I think let's do 0.8 rem. Oh, it's top and bottom, so this one left and right. Okay, so yeah, I think it looks better now. So we have the logo and the, sorry, I need to put my phone on silent. Alright, so now let's work on the body content, the main content here. So for that content, it's mainly going to be a grid. Okay, so we're done with the navigation. Main content. Okay, so now we just need to work on the main content. Okay, so content, just create a class, name it content or whatever you want to name it. Okay, so we're going to have the left and the right sides, so we have left and right, so we're going to do a grid, left and right. Alright, so now I'll collapse this. Okay, so as you can see here, we have this title here, so maybe we might want to reuse this title. So I'm going to create another component. It's going to be called small heading.js. Okay, so just in case we want to reuse it, so it's going to take two props. So the first one is going to be the actual title, the name of the title of the header, whatever, and then we're just going to say identify or something. You can I'll explain what this is. So this is actually, I'll do it now. So this is this little line here, so that's the identifier. Okay, so in here I'm just going to do h3. So for the h3 we're going to do title. So for the identifier, it's class name. For the class name, it's going to be the identifier. So sometimes we're doing a class name because sometimes we might want to reuse this line, or sometimes we might not want to use it, so that's why we're doing that as a class name. Okay, alright, so let's just create a style for this. Styled.div. Okay, then replace. Yep, so now we just need to start the h3. Okay, so as you can see right here, we have a nice gradient here. Okay, so to do that, we're going to say background. So the background is going to be a gradient. It's quite a long gradient for me to type it one by one. I'm just going to paste it here. So that's the gradient for the background. And then the background clip is going to be text. So we're going to clip the background. Oh, it's not here yet because we're not rendering this component yet. So in the left, I'm going to render small heading. So it's going to have what else? Title. I think that's what we named the prop. Okay, so for the title, I'm just going to say paste in the title. So that's the title, and then the identifier is the class name. So the name I've named it before. You can name it whatever you want. So we're going to target the h3. Okay, so that's the identifier prop, and then we're passing that class name inside the h3 in our small heading component. Alright, so now let's just see what we have. So it seems like we have an error because linear gradient h3 small heading. What's going on here? Small heading has already been declared. Oh, styled. So make sure the style name is not the same as the component. Okay, so make sure you name it differently. The component. Oh my days! I'm sorry about that. Some of my housemates are playing video games and they're shouting in the background. Okay, I'm going to refresh. So as you can see now, we have a linear background. So we want to clip this background to this text. So to clip it to the text, we're going to do WebKit prefix. WebKit. So the prefix is text fill color. So this is the prefix for the WebKit text fill color. So the color, we want it to be transparent. So the prefix, we're going to do the color to transparent, and then we're going to do another prefix. So another prefix is WebKit, and then background clip. Okay, so for this one, it's going to be text, same as this background clip. Okay, clip text like so, and then save. Okay, as you can see, that background is clipped to our text, but we're going to do display inline block. Okay, there it is. So display inline block means let me show you before I can clip this. So this is our background, right? It's set to display inline block, so that means it's going to surround the text. If I don't use inline block, it's going to fill the whole width. It's not going to only surround the text. Okay, so bring it back. So now there is our nice gradient. So now, do you remember the class this class we've passed in here? So it's called before. We just need to go to the global, and then we need to style that class. So this is the class. I'm just going to paste in the background color. You can use any color you want. Okay, so it's mainly doing the same thing. So here we're just going to say, actually no, we don't need this color here. We're going to use a different color. So the before position relative. So this is the h3. It's going to have a position of relative. We want to have a before pseudo element, and then we can position it wherever we want to. And then we're going to have a padding left. Padding left is going to be 3 RAM. Okay, so it's going to have a nice padding. So it seems like it's not applying our styles yet. Okay, so the global padding left 3 RAM, and then we're going to have a before pseudo element. Before, like so. So here's our before. Content is going to be an empty string, and then position is going to be absolute. Left 0, top 50%, and then the width is going to be 35 pixels, and then the height and the background color, I'm just going to paste in to save your time. Okay, so now I'm going to save this. It's not showing. Let's see why it's not showing. So here should have small heading, identifier. We need to make sure we have the correct spelling. Main content before. Still not showing. Okay, I'll copy the name of this prop just to make sure. Yep, the spelling was incorrect. The spelling is correct, so there it is. Okay, so now we are done with the title. Let's go ahead and do the H1. So main content after the title, we're going to do an H1. I'm just going to paste in the text. Okay, I'll paste in the text. So this is the text, and actually inside the text we want to put gradient. We want to put gradient on some of this text. Okay, so to put some gradient, we're going to surround that text. Whatever text we want to put gradient on it, we're going to surround that with a span, and then we're going to create a class called gradient text, and then we're going to put gradient inside the class. Wherever we want to use the gradient, just surround the whatever text you want to surround the gradient with a class called gradient text inside a span. So I'll go to the global. I'm just going to start here. So we have gradient text. Okay, so for the gradient text, I'm just going to paste in the gradient color. So it's mainly the styles we've done for the gradient text. Just paste in those styles. Okay, so we've done these styles already inside the small heading. So just paste in those gradient styles, and then each will have some gradient text. So whenever you want to surround with the gradient, just use the class name. Okay, so after the H1, so that's the main title, and then we're going to have a paragraph. I'm just going to paste in some lorem. So here I'm just going to paste in some lorem ipsum text. You can use any text that you want. So there it is. Okay, so below that we're going to have some buttons, but we're not going to do some buttons at the moment. We're going to, so we have left side. In the right side here, I'm just going to say image, and then I'm just going to change this to blockchain. The image, we just need to import that image. Import blockchain from .img. So the name of the image that we're going to be using for this one's called bchain. Bchain, I think it's a PNG. Alright, so there is our image. Okay, so before we do anything now, let's go for the styling. Okay, so let's target the content. So for the content, we're going to do display to grid, and then grid template columns. We want to repeat that. So we're going to have 2 columns with equal sizes, so 1FR, so they're going to be all equal. So width and height, set that to 100%. Width and height 100%, and then I'm going to target the left. So for the left, we're going to have display to flex, align items. Actually, not align items, we're going to do justify content, center, and then we're going to change the flex direction from row to column. Alright, so now let me save. So as you can see, everything is nicely aligned. Not really nicely aligned, but we're getting there. So we have H1 now. For the heading, we're going to give that a padding. So the padding top and bottom is going to be 1.8 rem, and then 0 left and right. You can play around with these values to see what you want. Okay, so now after the H1, let's target the right side, left, and then after the left we have the right side. So for the right, mainly I'm just going to target the image. Position is going to be absolute. I want to position this wherever I want. So right, I want this to be on the right side, minus 11%. You can play around with the values. And then bottom is going to be minus 1%. Okay, and then finally the width is going to be 60%. And again, you can play around with this value to see whatever fits for you. So yeah, so here's the image. So now we just need to put those two buttons here. So those buttons, the button is actually a component. So because we're going to be reusing this button, it's called CTA button.js. You can name this whatever you want. CTA btn button const CTA button styled. So here we're just going to say styled and then .div. You can do a button or an anchor tag, it's up to you. This one is only for demonstration purposes. So alright, so now let's do the style. So the button is going to have a prop name because we're going to reuse this, so it's better to use a prop. So the name, okay, let's do text transform to uppercase. Actually, I think I'm just going to use an anchor tag for this. Text transform uppercase, and then we're going to do, I think, display inline block, inline, yeah, like this. And then we're going to do padding top and bottom. It's going to be 0.9 rem. The left and right is going to be 1.5 rem. Okay, so and then border radius is going to be 8 pixels. Font size is going to be 1.1 rem. And then the font weight is going to be 500. Cursor pointer, and then we're going to do a transition for 0.4 seconds, ease in and ease out. Okay, so I'm going to save this. Okay, so now there's nothing. So I want we're going to have to initially, let me render the buttons actually. Right side, so below this p tag, that's where I'm going to render the button. I'm just gonna do a dot btn's container. So this is going to be btn's, so this is going to be a container for the buttons. So the first one is going to be CTA button. Don't forget to import it. So we have name, so the name is going to be, I'm just going to paste the name here, discover more. And then the second button is going to be different, so you can use a different name for that. Okay, I want to save that. So there's our buttons here, they're here, but we just haven't finished styling them yet. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the CTA button. I'm just going to say end last child. I want the last button to have a margin left of 1.5 rem, 1.5 rem, and last, make sure there's a space here between last and child. Okay, and then we're going to do end hover. So on hover, I'm just going to do a transition, and then the background, to change it to a different background. Okay, and then for the main background of this button, it's this linear gradient. As you can see, I want for the hovering, it's swapping between the gradients. Okay, so now we just need to give it spacing between the text and the buttons. Okay, so to do that we need to go back to the main content buttons container. Well, we can put them any way we want inside the content, so we can say margin top, maybe 2 rem. Yeah, that will work, that will do. Margin top 2 rem. So yeah, now we've done the home page. I'll see you in the next video. We're going to be working on the section below that. Okay, welcome back. So now I'm going to be creating another component inside the components folder. So this one is going to be called I can't think of a name. I'm just going to name it body content.js. Okay, so now I'm going to export this const body content. Yep. Styled, and then we're just going to import style components. Okay, so now take this and then replace. You know what, so this will be actually our main section, so you can change it to main. And then I'm going to rename this to body content. Okay, so I'll go to the app below the main area, then here I'll do the body, I'll put the body content. Okay, so inside the body content, I'm going to use the inner layout, so don't forget to import inner layout from layouts. Okay, so in here I need a title, so here, so I want this title here, this main title. Okay, so I'm going to create a new component, new, so this one is main title.js main. Okay, so main title, okay, so this main title is going to be let's make it a div. Okay, copy this, paste it here and paste it here. So as you can see, we have this small title. We've done this already, we've created this title here already. So this one, I'm going to bring that in, small heading. So we only need one prop for this one, so I think the prop is name or title. I forgot what I've named it. Small heading, so it's title. We don't need the class name because we don't need to do a pseudo element, so we just need the title. So here is just what is it going to be? Okay, so this is the title. Okay, so that's the title, and then here we just do an h2. I'm also going to bring in the title. Okay, here I'll do it as a prop, subtitle. It's going to be a prop, you see why. Then subtitle. Okay, so h2. So here, that's where I'm going to put the title. title. Okay, so actually we need another one. It's a paragraph. I'll do a p tag and then here just a paragraph. Okay, so let's do some styles. So I'll tag the h2, padding top, it's going to be 1 rem, and then we're going to do font weight. Font weight is going to be 500 for this one. Alright, so after that it's only the p tag that we need to target. So this one is going to have a padding top and bottom. It's going to be 1.2 rem and then 0 left and right, and then we just need to change the opacity just to make it a bit more light, 0.5. Okay, so inside the body content here, so we need to import the title. So for the title, the main title, that's the name, main title. Okay, so it's going to take the title prop and this subtitle. If you remember those props, I'm just going to paste in the props. Okay, so you can put any names you want for the props. Okay, so oops, there it is. So now we have the title. So this is the main title component, but inside the main title we have a small title component inside it. Okay, so now we have the title. Let's work on the card section. We want to create these 3 cards here. Okay, so I'm just going to create a class here. It's going to be seller cards. Okay, like so. Okay, so in the components, I'm just going to create a new component, seller card.js. Okay, so for the seller card, it's going to be different from what we're going to do for the rest of the cards. I will explain why as we go. Okay, so now I'll copy this seller card, create the style as usual, styled. Alright, so now I'm just going to copy this, and then replace the divs. Alright, so now we've replaced the divs. Let's import something. We're going to import the data from data. I think, yep, data, like so. And then we're just going to map in here. So we're just going to say data.map. We want to get the individual data item. So I'm just going to name it item. Okay, so we're just going to return a div. So this div is going to be called seller card, like so. And then it's going to have the ID. So the ID is going to be not the ID, it's actually a key, because it's going to be a list of items. So the key, we're going to have item.id. So that's going to be our key. It's going to be unique since it's a list. Okay, so inside the seller card div, I'm going to have 2 elements. So the first one is going to be number. It's going to have a class of number. Okay, so we're going to have a paragraph, and then I'll put 0 and then space and then item.id. So we want to display the ID number. Okay, so after the number, I'm going to do another class. So this one is going to be profile. Okay, so in the profile, we're going to have an image. So the source of the image. So this is a different way of doing things, but it doesn't make a lot of sense at the moment, and then I'll explain later how to do it correctly. So for the source, I'm going to say item item.image, and then below that I'm just going to do another class. So this one's going to be text. So for the text, I'm going to have an h4. So for the text, it's going to be item dot name, so that's going to be the text. And then in there we have a paragraph, which is going to be item dot currency. Okay, yeah, that's it for the HTML. Let's go to the styles. Let me just save this to see. Actually, we need to import the seller cards here. I'm just going to say seller card, and then I'll close. Okay, so there's our seller cards. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. Actually, these are not the cards, it's only one card with 4 pictures. Okay, so one card with 4 pictures. So now if you want 3 cards, I'll just do it 3 times. Okay, so we do 3 cards. So now let's start with the cards first before we make them a grid. Border radius is going to be 20 pixels, and then a background color. Background is going to be RGBA, red, green, blue, and alpha. So it's going to be a white, 255, 255, 255. So for the alpha, it's going to be 0.03. Okay, so it's a white color but very subtle. Okay, so now, and then we're going to do a transition. We're going to do no transform, transition 0.4 seconds, ease in and ease out. Alright, so there it is. I'm just going to copy the seller card class, paste it here, and then display flex, display flex, and then align items to center, and then we're going to do a padding. So the padding is going to be 1.5 rem top and bottom, left and right is going to be 1 rem. Okay, so in there we have the number. Let's target the number class. So for the number, we're going to do padding right. So for padding right, it's going to be 1 rem, and then the font size, I want the font size to be different. Font size is going to be 1.6 rem. Okay, and also I'm just going to change the opacity of this to 0.5, and then target the paragraph. For the paragraph, I'm going to change the font weight to 700. Okay, let's see what we have now. There it is. Okay, let's keep going. So after the number, we have profile. So for the profile, I'm going to do display flex, and then inside the profile, I'm going to target the image, but the images are too big at the moment. I'm going to do width 70 pixels. So we want these images to be rounded, so make sure you give them the same width and height. Height is going to be 70 pixels, and then border radius 50% to make sure it's rounded. Radius 50%, so it's going to be rounded. Okay, margin right, want a bit of spacing, it's going to be 1 rem, and then I'm just going to paste in a border of 2 pixels. Margin right, 1 rem, and then a border of 2 pixels. Actually, we want to do object fit as well to cover so it doesn't stretch out our image. Okay, so there is our image. So as you can see, we have nice 4 cards. Okay, actually 3 cards, not 4. So what I will do now is I'll go to the body content, and then I'll select the seller cards. I'll select that, and then I'm just going to say display. So I think you already know what we're going to do. So to make them next to each other, So we can either use display flex or grid, so it's better just to mix them around. So I'll do grid, and then grid template columns. We're going to do repeat. How many columns? So we're going to have 3 columns with equal size 3, 1 FR, and then a grid gap of 2 rem. We're also gonna do a margin of 2 rem, top and bottom, and then 0 left and right. Okay, so there they are. Okay, so now we just need to work on the hover. Seller card. Okay, I'm just going to say end hover. So when I hover this, I'm just going to do transform, translate Y. So we want to move this on the Y axis. I'll say minus 10 pixels. Okay, so I'm doing the wrong thing. Seller card is supposed to be up here. Okay, so now we have a nice hover animation. So now let's go to the next section. Okay, so we're going to do this section a little bit differently. So after this seller card, so I'm just showing you a different way to do it. So after the seller card, I'm going to create another component. So this component is going to be called the blogs section .js. Okay, this const styled. So this is like a container. Copy this, then we're going to replace all the divs here. Okay, so for the block section, we're going to import the section styled, one of the layout we've created earlier in our layouts. So we've done this already, so import it up here. Okay, and also we are going to do the main title. Main title. Actually, let me show you what I want to do. So down here in the blogs, as you can see, our title is now centered. It's no longer at the left side, so it's now centered. So to do that, to center the title, let's put it in a container. So this container is going to be called title container. Okay, and then here, that's where we do the main title. Okay, so I'm just going to paste in the title. You can put any text that you want. So now this is the one I'm going to put. Okay, so now in the body content, I'll just load in the blogs section. Okay, oops, wrong. Okay, so there's our title. So as you can see, it's not centered. So what you can do is now we can go ahead and go to the block section, title container. We're going to reuse this, so we're going to put it in the global because we're going to be reusing that. Here, let's do text align, text align to center, and then the width, I believe the width is 80% or something like that, and then margin 0 auto to make sure it's centered. Okay, there it is. Okay, so I'm just gonna double check to see what width I've used for that. Okay, so actually I did width 50%, I've used 50%. Okay, so yeah, there it is. So now let's work on the blogs section, the cards. Okay, so let's go ahead and start mapping all the data here that we have in the blogs here. Okay, so blog section, down here I'm just gonna do dot blogs. Okay, so in here I'm just going to say blogs. Actually, we don't have the blogs yet. We need to import that. Import blogs from dot blogs. So I just have dummy data in the blogs. You can use any data that you want. Okay, so here I'm just gonna do blogs.map, and then I'm just gonna get an individual blog, and then yeah, we're just going to return. We're going to return a blog dot blog, and then it's going to have a key because it's going to be a list of blogs. So the key is going to be blog.id. So that's going to be our key, blog.id. So inside the blog we're going to have an image. So image, so that's the parent, and then we have the actual image. So for the source it's going to be blog.image. I'm sorry about the noise, guys, outside. Okay, blogs.image, and then below that, below the image, we're going to have a title. So it's just an h6. It's just blog.title, blog.title. Okay, so that's the title, and then after that we have the username. We're just going to do 2 paragraphs. So for the first one we're just going to type creator, like so, and then below that it's just a name of the blog. Actually I think the name of the creator, so blog dot name, yeah, something like that. So let me just double check to see if I'm recording. Yeah, so sometimes I usually do a tutorial and then I realize I wasn't recording, so it's so annoying. Okay, so now let's go to the styling. Okay, so I'm just gonna say blogs. Okay, let's see what we have first before we go anywhere. Okay, so now we have our blogs here. There they are. So we just need to style them. Okay, so we're going to use a grid, obviously. Super easy to use. Grid, template columns, repeat. We're just going to have 4 columns and 1 FR. Okay, grid gap to RAM to stay consistent, and then we're going to do padding top. So for padding top is going to be 2 RAM as well, just to be consistent. Okay, and then we're going to tag each individual blog, and then we're going to give it a background color. So for the background, it's that same white, subtle white background. Okay, so this one, and then a border radius. It's going to be 20 pixels, and then we're just going to tag the image container, which is image, and then we're going to height 300 pixels. The height is going to be fixed, and then a width of 100%. After the width, we're going to do overflow hidden, and then border top radius, top left radius is going to be 20 pixels, left and right 20 pixels, both of them, they're going to be 20 pixels. And then we're just going to do the transition as well, just in case we want to hover on the image. Okay, so this is the same transition we've used before, and then I'm just going to target the img. So for the image, it's going to have both width and height to 100%. Okay, and then we're just going to do object fit to cover. Object fit to cover, and then we're just going to also do. So, but by default, we want the images to be a bit of black and white color. So we're just going to do a grayscale. It's going to be like something like 50%. Okay, so the images are going to be grayscaled for 50%. Okay, transition. Okay, so we also want to do the same thing here for the images as well, the border top and border left. Okay, so let me save this. There they are. So the images are a bit grayscaled. So when I hover, I want the grayscale to be 0. So and hover. So this one, just change that to 0. Okay, so we might even want to rotate. Okay, so when I hover, it's turning to 0. Okay, so you might want to even transform this. Transform. You can scale this. Let's say 1.2. 1.2. So when you hover, we want to scale the image. Okay, we can also scale and rotate any transformation you can think of. Maybe let's say rotate, let's say maybe 10 degrees. So you can put any value that you want for the rotation, or you can leave it if you don't want to. Okay, I think I'm just gonna do something like 3 degrees or something. It's up to you what you want. Alright, so yeah, now let's style the text. Okay, so after the image, blog image, we can do an H6. So for the H6, it's just the usual, just the styles, simple styles, and font weight. So font weight 500, and the font size is a bit different. Okay, so there it is. So for the user, we're just going to do user. So for the user, we're just going to do padding top. Padding top is going to be somewhere like 0.2 rem, and then padding bottom. Okay, so padding bottom 1.5 rem. So we want to have a padding bottom, and then we're also going to have a padding left and padding right of 1 rem. Okay, I'm just making this quicker. Left and right 1 rem, so just to give it a bit of spacing. Okay, and then it's just a bit of doing a display flex. And then I'm just going to target the P, the first child, the first paragraph. So for the first child, I'm just going to do padding right. Padding right is going to be 0.4 rem, and then the opacity is going to be 0.5 rem. Okay, so like that. So it's a bit low of the opacity. So yeah, that's it for the block section. Now let's move on to the next section, which is the upcoming items. Okay, so for that, we're just going to create another component. Upcoming items. What did I name this one? So this one is called gradients. So this one is going to be gradient cards section, something like that. .js. Okay. Const. Alright, so now I'll just copy this. It's a long name, you can name it whatever makes sense to you. Okay. Alright, so now we just need to use this section inside the body content. So after the block section, so it's going to be gradient cards section. Okay, so in here, remember we did the layout, so it's every section we're going to use this layout. So it's section styled, yep, this one. So we're going to use that as our one of the layouts for the sections. Okay, and also we did the title. So we want the title, we did a class called title container. So do you remember we did a class for this title here? Okay, so we need that title. So I'm just going to put the title container here. So title container, so it's going to contain the title, and then you can change the title to whatever title you want. So remember we did props. So don't forget to import the title up here. I'm just going to import main title. Okay, because we're using it down here, we need to import it up here. Okay, and then don't forget to change the props as well if you want to. So now we have another title here. So as you can see, we have a consistent layout, consistent spacing, because we're using the layout, one of the layouts that we've created in the layouts file. We are reusing the layout, so it's going to stay the same. Okay, so now let's do the content below that. Okay, so below the main title, I'm just going to say gradient cards container. That's the class name. Okay, so I'm just going to create a new component. It's called gradient card.js. Okay, and then I'm just going to create a style for this one. So it's just the same process, const styled, and then it's also styled. So it's going to be a div. Same process over and over. It gets annoying sometimes to create all these components. It's only because we want to reuse these components, that's why we're creating multiple components. But otherwise we wouldn't be bothered to create multiple components if we don't want to reuse them. Okay, so yeah, so now we need to create an individual card. So in the card section, I'm just going to say gradient card. Each card is going to have some props. Okay, so the first prop is going to be an image. Okay, so we have image, and then the second prop is going to be an avatar. Okay, because we want to use different kind of props on each card. So we have avatar, and then we have name. Okay, so and then after name we have price, and then after that we have the title. Okay, so yeah, in here you can put the names, or the title, or names, or images you want to use. Okay, but I'm not going to waste my time putting some text. I'm just going to paste in a component here with everything filled out. Okay, so I'm just going to import the images that we're going to be using for this one. So the images that we're going to be using, they're coming from the image folder. Okay, so I'll just paste in the images that we'll be using. Okay, so there they are. So these are the images we're going to be using. So they're coming from this folder. Okay, so you can you're free to use any data that you want for these props. Okay, so actually I do want to use multiple cards. So I'll just paste in multiple cards here. Okay. Alright, so for the avatar, I'm just using the same image. You can use a different image for this one. I just couldn't be bothered to download 8 different images for that, so I want to save your time. Okay, so all these props are not defined yet, so we just need to go to the gradient card, and we need to also put those props so we can use them inside here, inside the gradient card. Okay, so let's just do that. So we have the first one is image. After the image, we're going to do an avatar, and then we have name, we have price. You know, I'm not going to be bothered copying all these props, and then I'm just going to paste them here. Okay, I'll explain what this CTA button is later on. I'll explain, don't worry, I'll explain what that is. Okay, so now I'm just going to save. Avatar is not defined because let me go back to the gradient section here, avatar. So the image that was supposed to be using for the avatar, we didn't import that. I'm just going to clone this, and then I'm going to say avatar. Yeah, I'm just going to use whatever this person, just to make our code happy. You can use anything for the avatar, it doesn't matter. Okay, so now that's that. So now let's work on the card, the gradient card section. Gradient card. Okay, so this one is kind of there's a lot of HTML in this one, and then let's start by creating a class, gradient card, and then inside this class we're going to have an image class. Okay, so for the image, it's going to contain an image. The source for this one is going to be the image that is coming from the prop. Okay, so below that we're just going to have another div. It's going to be name. We're going to have another image again. So this one is going to be where the avatar is going to be. So this one is going to be avatar. So you can pass in that avatar as a prop, whatever you want to use. And then we're going to do p, and then name. Okay, so we have this is the image section. So after the, actually I want to wrap this in a container, so that'll make a lot of sense. I'll cut this. I'll say dot inner content. Okay, you see why it's good to use a container for this. Inner content. So below the image, we're going to have card content. Okay, so for the card content, we're going to have an h6, and then with the class actually h6 to a card name. This one's going to have a title. Okay, so below that we're going to have a p, we're going to have a price. You can surround this p in a span to give it a different color. So I think that will make a lot of sense if you want to do that, but I'm not going to do that in this video. So I'm going to span. So we're going to do another span. We're going to give it a different color. So this one's going to be price. I want it to have a green color. And then the prop is going to be price. Okay, so after that, I'm just going to use some HTML entities to give it a bit of spacing. NBSP, so it means give it a bit of space. This is an HTML entity. Okay, I'm just going to use another one. Okay, so I'm just going to do another span with a class of left text space. Do span dot l text. It's actually supposed to be r text for the right text, but it doesn't matter. And then I'm just going to say 1, I don't know, 15, whatever value you want, or 2, 3, I don't know, whatever value you want to put, it's up to you. Okay, so after that, I'm just going to do another paragraph. So this one is going to be highest bid. Okay, so for the highest bid, I'm just also going to do an HTML entity for spacing. I want to space it, and then another class name is going to be price. It's the same actually that we've done. It's a span, so we want it to be actually green, so it's the same thing we did up here. So price, for the price is going to have the price prop. Okay, so that's that. So after the paragraph, we're going to do another div. It's going to be duration. So that's where the icons, you see these icons here, it says the duration and the likes. So that's the container, the duration container. duration. I'm going to do 2 paragraphs, and then we're going to do img. The source is going to be time for this one, and the other one is going to be heart. We just need to import those from the images folder. I'm not going to waste your time importing, so I'll just paste the location here. It's coming from the image folder. So you could use any different image that you want as well, so it's up to you. Okay, so there they are. Alright, so now I think that's it for now. If we need anything else, we'll do later. Let's just go to the styling. The pixels, and then font size. Font size is going to be 1 rem. Transition, yeah, on 4 seconds. Ease in and ease out. Okay, so we have a transition. That's it for the main container. Now we're just gonna go to the g.gradient card. I believe that's what I've named the class. Margin is going to be 2 rem, and then inside that we have the inner content. Okay, so for the inner content, the background color, I'm just going to paste it in here. Background color, and then padding is going to be 0.8 rem. So for the border radius, it's going to be 20 pixels. And then we have the image container, which is the image, the class, that's the container. Width is going to be 100%. Position relative, because we want to position absolute the image. Actually, not the image, the child, which is name. Okay, so I'm just going to tag the image inside the image class. Okay, I'm only going to tag the first child. What's going on with my spelling? Okay, so I'm only going to tag the first child. Width is going to be 100%. Object fit to cover, and then we're going to do height. It's going to be 300 pixels, and then border radius. Border radius is going to be 10 pixels. Okay, let's save this. Let's see what we got. So there it is. Alright, so now let's just we have image. After the image, actually inside the image inside this image class name, we have a name. Position is going to be absolute, and then left, we want to center this 50%. Bottom is going to be minus 26 pixels. You can play around with these values, so I'm just going to put the exact value so I don't waste your time. And the background color display is going to be flex, and then align items to center, and then transform, want to center this on the horizontal. Transform, translate, so to center this on the horizontal, it's going to be x on the x-axis. It's going to be minus 50% on the x-axis, and then the width is going to be 75%, and then let's give it a padding. So for the padding, it's going to be top and bottom is going to be 0.5 rem, and then left and right is going to be 0.5 rem as well. Okay, so you can just do 0.5 rem like this. Okay, so it's all the same thing. Okay, so I'm just going to paste in a border as well. This is the border, Okay, so I'm just going to save this, and then let's see what we have. So there it is. So we have a nice border here. So it looks ugly at the moment because we haven't done anything much yet. Okay, so inside the name we have the image. Let's target the image inside the name. So the width is going to be 45 pixels because it was so big, so now it's like very small. Okay, so we want this image to be very small, so we want it to be rounded as well. As you can see here, it's rounded, so width and height must be the same. Okay, so height is going to be 45 pixels as well, and then if we want to make it rounded, we have to use border radius of 50%. Border radius 50% is going to be like nicely rounded, as you can see. Okay, so now we have border radius. Let's do object fit to cover, and then we're just going to do margin right, so to give it a bit spacing, margin right of 2 rem. Okay, so after this we have the cut content. So image, so we have card content, padding top is going to be 3 rem. Card title, I believe that's what I've named it, the class. Font size is going to be 1.3 rem, and then font weight is going to be 500, and a bit of padding. I'm just pasting here just to save you time. Okay, so after that, after the card title, with I believe the price, the span that we did is only putting a color, green color, and then the L, text, opacity 0.5, and then after that we have the duration. So the duration is a container of this logo, these logos here. Okay, duration. Okay, so I've actually haven't specified the duration yet. So here, after the image, I'm just going to say 7 hours ago, and then you can say maybe 150 likes, something like that. Okay, so now let's go for to do the styles for the duration. Okay, so margin top is going to be 1 rem, and padding top same, 1 rem as well, and then a border is going to be 1 pixel. It's going, instead of solid, it's going to be dashed. Okay, I want it to be like some dashes. Display flex, and then justify content, space between. Okay, so there it is. It looks nice. Okay, so now inside the duration, we're going to tag the paragraph, display flex, align items to center, and then the image, object fit to cover, and then width. So the width is just going to be 18 pixels, and then margin right is going to be 0.6 rem, and then align items, center, display flex, and then justify content to center as well. Okay, there it is. So it looks nice. Okay, so now as for the image, that's it for now. Let's just go back to the gradient section container. I'm going to copy the class name of the container, because I want to style this container here. You know what, I'm actually going to put that in a global, because we're going to be using this container. We're not only going to be using this container in this component, because we're going to reuse this in another component, so it makes sense to put it inside the global. Okay, so in here we're just going to put in a global. So display, so we want this grid to be responsive by default. It's going to be grid, so it's going to be automatically responsive. So grid template columns, we're going to do repeat, and then so if you want to do some grid items that are responsive, we're going to do auto fill instead of specifying the number of columns that we want. So we can do it like this, auto fill, and then min max. So the minimum width of the grid item, what is it going to be? So the minimum width is going to be 300 pixels, and then each of them are going to have equal size, which is 1FR min max. So you have to make sure that they have a minimum width as well. Okay, and then we're going to do a grid gap. Oh my days, grid gap is going to be 2 rem. Okay, now let's save this. Okay, so now we have the grid items. Something going on here. Min max, autofill. Okay, so the minimum width is going to be 300 pixels. Grid gap. Okay, so now we can F12 this to see how responsive they are. So as you can see, these grid items are quite responsive depending on the screen size. Okay, so now let's go back. We need to work on something else after this. Okay, so let's go back to the grading card. Actually here we're still working on the grid. Okay, so gradient, okay, I'm looking for the styles. Okay, so here background color red. So when I give it a background color, so as you can see there's a nice red background color. It seems like there is something going on here. Something wrong is happening. Margin 2 rem. Okay, so the margin here is not supposed to be 2 rem, it's supposed to be 0.2 rem. Okay, like that. So as you can see, we have a nice line covering our card. Okay, so now let's work on the something wrong with the HTML entities here. We're going to fix that. Okay, so now let's work on the actual background color. So initially I'm just going to paste in a color that we're going to start on. Okay, so this is the color. I can't be bothered to write this one by one, so that's the color we're going to start on. Okay, so now I'm going to create an animation. So to create an animation, we say add keyframes, and then the animation name, which is gradient. You can name it whatever you want. Okay, so in it at 0%, what do I want to do at 0%? So at 0%, I'm just going to copy our initial background color. I'll change this to from 0 to 50, from 50 to 70, from 50 to 70, from 70 to 100. Okay, so it's going to animate accordingly whatever we put in here. So I'm just going to say animation. So here it tells you what you need to do. So name, it's gradient, then the duration is going to be 5 seconds, and then we can say infinite. It's going to run infinitely. Okay, so it seems like it's not doing anything, but it's actually animating, but we just didn't change the values here. Okay, so that's when I'm going to change the values here. Here I'll paste in a different value. Okay, and then I think I'll paste in a different value here as well. Let's see how this is gonna look like. Okay, let's see. I'm looking for another gradient to put. Let's see this one. I'm just looking for a gradient. Let me try this. Okay, I think I'll leave it. Okay, it's up to you what you decide to do. I think I'll just leave it like this. So it's actually different from this one. So here I'm starting at a different color. Okay, and here I'm starting at a different color as well. But it's doing the same, sort of doing the same thing, but it's just different animation properties. Okay. All right. So now let's work on those HTML entities to see what NBSP. Okay, not NSBP, it's NBSP, like this. Replace this one. Okay, and then save that. Alright, so now we should have a nice spacing here. Oh, here there's still up here. Replace this one as well. NBSP. Alright, so now we have a nice spacing. Oh, we forgot to style the title here. Let's go ahead and style the title. What the hell did we name the title? Okay, so the title, card name, I'm pretty sure we've done it somewhere. Card name, so it's card name right here. So it's card name. There we go. So now we have a nice title. Let's work on this. We need to do a border radius for that. So percent relative. Let me see the name. So the avatar is the name, the container's name, border radius, 50 pixels. Okay, there we go. So now it's nicely rounded. So here it's rounded as well. Okay, so it's just a different animation. So here we need to have a button. So the button is going to be we're going to load more images. So here, as you can see, we have a button that says view more. So for this button, as you can see here, it's centered. So we need to put this button in a container for it to be centered like this. So below the below the duration, we're going to say CTA BTN. Okay, so in here we're just going to put the CTA BTN. Oh, not this one, not this one, but this one, the one that is coming from the props. But we can actually do that. Put it here, the CTA BTN. So when I say CTA button, you can actually import it directly here, and then, or you can use it as a prop. Okay, it's up to you. So CTA button, let me double check to see what props we need. CTA button, so it's name. CTA button, so name, it's going to be, I think, view more, I guess, like that. So now there it is, view more. Oh, but it's showing in everything. We don't need to do that. View more, view more, view more, view more. So I want this, I want to cut this. So here it's only after. Card, I believe it should be somewhere here. Let me see. Nope, it's still inside. That is strange. Okay, so let's see where we're rendering this component. Seller gradient section. Oh, here. So this is where we are rendering this gradient cards container. I'll put it here. Oops. So I'll just say CTA. I need to import that here. CTA button. Okay, cancel that. And then I'll save. There it is. Okay, so now I just need to style the CTA. Okay, so it's not a big deal to style this. It's just giving the padding in the text align of center, because we want to center everything like so. Okay, so there it is. Okay, so now let's go to another section, which is the live demonstration. Okay, so for that I'm just going to create another component. So many components. I'll say demonstration section.js. Okay, const we are nearly there. Don't worry. I'm going to replace this and replace. Alright, so for the demonstration, it's we're copying the title again, so we're going to reuse the title. So remember this component we did for the title here, we're going to reuse that. So but before we do that, we need the layout, section layout. It's actually section styled, so that's the layout. And then I'm just going to paste in the title, and then so the name is demonstration, and then change this to just import main title, and then we should have a demonstration here. It's not showing because we're not rendering the component inside the body section. So here it's demonstration section. Okay, so now it's going to render, and something is wrong. Let's see what's going on. Demonstration section. Styled. Oh, styled is here. Cannot create style component for component. What's going on? I don't know what this error is about. Body section. Let me see if I remove this, if we're going to have any errors. The error's still there. I don't know what happened. Okay, I think I see the problem. So here I'm going to say div, so style.div. Okay, refresh that. Alright, so what a silly mistake. So now we have the title. Okay, so below that we're just going to say dot gradient cards container. If you remember the class name we did before, that's going to contain our cards. Okay, so it's dot gradient cards container. Alright, so I'm just going to paste in the cards as well. So we're going to do some cards here, and then I'll do that, and then I'm just going to import the images that we're going to be using from the image folder. Okay, so I'm going to create another component. Actually, I'm not creating a component. Const, if you remember the button that we had, CTA button, which is equals to CTA button, like this. So we want to pass the CTA button as a component, okay, as a prop. So I believe it's title, the name of the prop for the name. So gradient card. Here, so remove this. It's actually name. So this is the one. Alright, so right here we want to pass this button. Actually, it's place bid. Okay, so we want to pass this button as a prop, so that's why we had CTA button right here. CTA button, that's a prop, so we have this. So if you want to pass a component as a prop, you need to define it up here as a variable, and then you pass that as a variable as a prop. Okay, and then so now I'm gonna go to the gradient card, and then below the duration, and then that's where I'm going to put the CTA button. So I say dot CTA btn, like so, and then in here I'll just put that prop CTA button. So I want that button to show only in the components that I'm going to be using here. Okay, so a few more. So here, gradient buttons container. Something is missing. Avatar. Okay, so I'm just going to say import avatar from .img person.jpg. Gradient card is not defined. We didn't import the gradient card for us to use it, so import that up here. So now, as you can see, we have the button is showing now, but we want it to fill the whole width without affecting other buttons. Okay, so we only want to fill the whole width for this one without affecting any of these buttons. So to do that, you just put in a in a parent container like this CTA button, and then we're only affecting this class. We're not going to affect any other classes. Okay, let's go down here, shall we? Okay, so down here you can put it maybe in here, out here. I'm just going to say CTA button width 100%. Okay, and then within the CTN button, I'm going to target the anchor tag. So that's what we did with our button. It's an anchor tag, and then I'm going to give it a margin point. What did I do? Margin 0.6 rem, and then left and right 0, and then the display is going to be inline block if we haven't done that already, and then width is going to be 100% as well. Width 100%, and then text align to center. Alright, okay, there you go. So now it's covering the whole width and the text is aligned to center. Okay, so we didn't affect any of these buttons. We only affected one class that we wanted to affect. Okay, actually this the city, as you can see, look, we have this, we don't want this space here, this empty space. So I think I know why. We have, because we did display inline block here, we need to get rid of the inline block we've done inside the, I believe it's the CTA button, display inline block. Get rid of this. So we only want to do inline block here. Oops, something weird is going on. What did I get rid of? Display inline block. Let me see what's going on. What did I get rid of? Oh, transition. Can't remember what I got rid of. I think I got rid of something. CTA button. Text transform uppercase. One second. I don't know what okay, doesn't matter. CTA button. Just copy this background and put it here, and then swap these out. Okay, yeah, it's working, but this space is not yet gone. Display text transform uppercase. I'm still figuring out what's going on with this space. CTA button. It shouldn't be here. CTA. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the Okay, well, don't worry. I'll find the mistake and then I'll fix it. Okay, so as you can see here, we don't have that space here, so I'll find the the mistake and then I'll fix it later. So now let's do something else. So now let's go on this section here, the contact section. This one is pretty straightforward. Contact section .js. Contact section.js. Okay. Contact section.js. I'll just say CTA buttons. I'll give it a different class name. Okay, so it's now CTA buttons, not CTA button. Okay, because that makes more sense. So now that space is gone because we were using the CTA button class somewhere else. Okay, so give it a different class name. So because we haven't used this class name yet, so you need to be careful to be not using the same classes for different things. That's why we had that spacing. So now it's gone because we're using a unique class for that. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and do the contact section. So for the contact section, const contact section is going to be styled div. Okay, so for the contact section, it's going to be slightly different from other components. Okay, so contact section styled. Replace this and then section styled for the layout. Contact info. So this is going to contain our contact information, and then we're going to have an H3. It's going to be contact title. H3 contact title. Okay, like that, and then it's just going to be contact us. I'm just going to paste in a bunch of paragraphs. You can use any information you want for these paragraphs. Okay, and then after that, after the contact information, we have .bg image. So that's the background image, the map for the map. So here we're just going to put an image with the source of map. So we just need to import that image from our images folder, and then we should have an image. So now we just need to utilize the so many items open at once. I'm just going to close everything down. Okay, so body content, we're just going to utilize the contact section in here. All right, so there it is. So we have the image is way too big, so let's go to the styles and give it a different background color. Okay, so a different background color. Let's do display because we want everything to be nicely centered. justify content center, align items to center as well, text align to center. We're just going to do position relative, and we're going to give it a padding as well. Padding top and bottom is going to be 4rem, and then left and right is going to be 0. Z index is going to be 1, and then we're going to target the paragraph, and then we're just going to change the opacity to 0.5. Okay, so for the image, it's too big. We need to fix that. So it's PG image. We're going to give it a position of absolute, and then left is going to be 50%, because we want to center the image from the left side and from the top as well. Top 50%, and then to make sure it's nicely centered, we're going to use transform translate minus 50% for both the horizontal and the vertical, minus 50%. So the image is going to be nicely centered, but the image is still large. We need to fix it. So we're going to target the image, and then we're just going to change the width to 80%, so that it's not that large. And then we're just going to change the opacity to 0.08 or 0.07. It's up to you. Just mess around these values to see what fits for you. Okay. So as you can see, our layout is affecting this section, the contact section. I don't want this contact section to be affected by the layout. I want it to fill the whole screen. So to fix this issue, so it's inside the inner layout. So take the contact section, because we don't want it to be affected by the layout. So take it outside the inner layout, and then it won't be affected by the affected by the layout anymore. So as you can see, it's filling the whole width. Okay, so that's it for the image. So we just need to go back after the BG image. So we have the contact title, so for this one, position is going to be relative, because we're going to do a before pseudo element. Padding bottom is going to be 1rem, and then margin bottom is going to be 2rem. After the margin, we're going to also do font weight. The font weight for this one is going to be 500, and then font size is going to be 1.6 rem or 1.5 rem. It's up to you. You can mess around with these values to find perfect values for you. And then we're going to do a pseudo element. It's going to be a before pseudo element. So this before pseudo element is going to be responsible for the line below the title. Okay, so we're just going to do content empty string as usual, position absolute, okay, and then bottom 0, transform translate minus 50% for the translate only x on the x-axis. Want it to be centered, minus 50%, and then width is going to be 4rem. Width height is going to be 2 pixels, and then the background color like that. Okay, so it's not nicely centered, so to make sure it's centered, the left has to be 50%. Okay, so we need to move it 50% from the left. 50%. So it's going to be nicely centered like this. Okay, so you can space around these paragraphs if you want to, if you desire to do that. So you can say maybe margin for this one is going to be, well, you can say 0.4rem, 0 left and right, like that. You know, it's up to you what you decide to do. Okay, so now it's only a matter of doing the footer section. So for the footer, you can choose wherever you want to do the footer section. You can do it in the app.js, or you can just, you know, to make it for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to do it inside the body content. You can just say do footer like this, and then a paragraph, and then just put some text in it like this. Simple as that. And then you can just go below here and just say footer, then display, flex, align items, center, justify content to center. You can do a padding. Top and bottom is going to be 3 rem. Left or right is going to be 0. Okay, so I'm just going to paste in a background color, and then border top is going to be 1 pixel, solid, and then a white color but very subtle, so 2555 RGBA, that's a white color, so the opacity is 0.08. Okay, and then we're just going to tag the paragraph, and then we're just going to change the opacity for that to 0.7, and then the text align to center. Okay, so now there's our footer and there's the border top. You can put anything you want here, and yeah, the cards are still animating. Okay, so for these ones, I've done this differently to show you that for these images you have to use props. Now you already know how to use props as we did for these images. So these images are using props. Okay, so you need to use props for these images to have different images according to whatever card that you want to use or whatever images that you want to use, instead of just mapping all of the images that you have as the same copy. So you can just use some props. Any data that you want to change dynamically, you can use props. If you want to reuse some of the data, you can put that into a prop, and then you can change the name and everything that you want to change. You can just use it as a prop. But this one, we don't use props. Or you can actually use, so when I go to the blogs, you can also use arrays of images here. You can do an array of images if you want to. So it depends how you want to use the data, or you can, you know, do as props, or you can use it like this. So it's really up to you. Okay, so I don't think there is anything else that I'm going to show in this tutorial, because it's very long. It's getting very long. So if you need to ask me any question or anything, just ask me in the comments as well. I can reply to every comment in the comments. My channel is very small, so it's really easy for me to reply to every comment. So yeah, if you need anything or ask me any questions, just reply. So also remember, we've implemented these grid systems in a different way. So some of these grids are not responsive, and then some of them are. So as for this one, that's the responsive one we did earlier. Okay, so this one is automatically responsive, but the other ones are not responsive because we've done them in a different way. Okay, so you can make them responsive. It's up to you. Okay, so yeah, if you need, ask me any question, go to the comment sections. Actually, I forgot to do one more thing. Let's do this this scroll bar. So that one is quite simple to do. Let's go to the global style, and then in the body, where's the global? Okay, there it is. So the global style, and then we just go to the body, and then we just do WebKit scroll bar like that. Scroll bar. Okay, so we're just going to change the width for that to 8 pixels. 8 pixels. All right. So after the scroll bar, we have WebKit scroll bar track. So that's the track of the scroll bar. So for the color, background color, it's going to be hash ccc. So that's the like a subtle light color. And then after the track, we have a thumb, the one that you use to scroll with. So for the thumb, it's going to have a gradient and a border radius of 24 pixels. I'm just going to paste in the color here. Okay, so there it is. So there's our custom scroll bar. I mean, yeah, that's it for this tutorial. I'll see you on the next one.